And thanks for tuning into the Daily Space Weather, folks. Looking at the sun on 193 angstroms, we see a very well-defined coronal hole rotating into the Earth-facing region. A more diffuse coronal hole there near the South Pole. Very low levels of solar activity. All kinds of frost and freeze forecasts for the eastern U.S. And we see some filamentary activity all around the limbs. Big-time filaments in the northeast. Zoom in on that area, as we've been watching it for days. Are the filaments collapsing, or are they getting ready to eject? If you have an opinion, please leave a comment. And there's the southern region complete with date stamps. And next we're going to look at the GOES X-ray flux, which is totally flatlined. Here's the GOES X-ray imager. We did see a little bit of activity kicking off on the west, right up here, right where my pointer is. I apologize for the delay. I had it loaded. Let me just rock that for you. You see right around that point there, you see some X-rays kicking off right underneath where my pointer is there. Otherwise, not a lot going on, folks. Super weak activity. And let's talk cosmic rays. Here's the apatity monitor. And there's Barentsburg. Next we'll look at Athens. And here's the Athens, Greece neutron monitor. We saw a pretty big spike there around the 12th, on the 12th. And let's go to Mexico City, as we cover a number of monitors regularly, at least once a week on this channel. And thanks to our new viewers and new patrons. Next we'll check out Moscow. There's the Moscow monitor. And lastly, we'll look at Oulu, Finland, and two monitors in Antarctica, DOMC and DOMB. So there's Oulu. Here's DOMC Antarctica. And there is DOMB Antarctica. And we did leave links to this network of cosmic ray stations website below the video. Let's talk about funding the channel. Please do so as we are in the process of growing. Get in on the ground level. Donate via PayPal. We've started a .org as well as a .com. Also, you can see all that stuff in the links. Donate via PayPal if you don't like Patreon. If you're in the market for CBD products, check out Hemp Lucid's Spaced Out campaign, specifically formulated for our spaced out viewers and also linked below the video. So check that out if you're in the market for CBDs. But most importantly, this channel is primarily funded by Patreon. Thanks, patrons. You are the real associate producers of the show, as YouTube and Google are scams and pay us exactly zilch for these videos. So become a patron. Join at the $9.99 a month level if you are able. Let's move on to more data. We're keeping this one short today on purpose. Look at the real-time solar wind. We see the phi angle shifting all around, expecting to see a magnetic connection with that coronal hole at some point throughout the next 24 hours, increasing the earthquake risk. We've been seeing a magnitude 7, 8, and 9 earthquake drought for an extended period of time here, and earthquake droughts always end in what? What's that? Earthquakes. So we see this phi angle shifting around here. We see an extremely low solar wind density, 0.41, 0.69 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed even lower than it was yesterday at 370 kilometers per second. Talk about a weak geomagnetic environment. There's the data from ACE looking corroborative. You want to see a weak magnetosphere? All right, well, check this out. We're going to bring up the magnetosphere movies here. Here's the density. And I would note that low density is shown in white and higher density is shown in blue. So every little spike we see from the solar wind, if it gets up to just 1 or 2 protons per cubic centimeter, it shows up as a density spike here, with the overall magnetohydrodynamic environment looking ultra weak. We also see some ionosphere anomalies, which we're going to get to in a moment. Here's the pressure, and this might be the lowest pressure we've ever documented on the channel. It's darn close. We see practically no pressure on this model on the bow shock side, the side facing the sun. Most of the pressure on the nighttime or magnetotail side. And let's look at the ground magnetic perturbations. Delta B changes in the Earth's B field. 4 more hours of data here. We document this every day on the channel. So if you want to see what happened on a previous day in the past year or so, go look at our video from that day, as we haven't missed a day in I don't know how long. Anyway, we don't see any major perturbations here, and that's really no surprise, is it? Again, 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still at 66 solar minimum conditions, and if you look at that orange line, the current state of affairs is below that. And we use a 10.7 centimeter radial flux as a proxy for solar activity when there are no sunspots, as this graph generally follows the sunspot number graph, and hence is a good proxy for solar cycles. Magnetometer looking spiky there, and this is probably the ongoing sector boundary crossing regarding the current sheet polarity. We are now in the North Pole oriented portion of the current sheet, folks, so welcome to the north. And we're talking about the green area here. This data 1 hour and 58 minutes old. Let me show you the last image. And you can see the field force lines are now in that North Pole area. We're going to be seeing some magnetometer weakness when the field force line gets to this clumped up area. And there could be some activity underneath that also. We'll keep you in suspense and not show you anything from stereo A today. Charging hazards are non-existent, and the KP index is at 1 for the last 9 hours. Electron flux looking in a pretty nominal range, a little on the low side there if you ask me, as well as the relativistic greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. There's the graph for that, courtesy solon.info. And here's the ionosphere, and it's looking quite charged on the nighttime side. No real surprise there considering the state of affairs in the magnetosphere. So looking a little closer to home here, we see some odd charge-discharge anomalies, especially on the nighttime side, and a weak ionospheric charge on the daytime side. And we'll bring up the last image here also. There's the latest image, this one at 10:15 UT. As we made the video a bit late today. Earthquake drought continues, folks. If you're in an earthquake-prone area, please be prepared. In the last 24, we see, just about 24 hours ago, we see a 4.7 in Pakistan. Hopefully that didn't cause too much damage. I bet some buildings crumbled, though. Here's a 4.9 in Samoa. And that one is at near the surface. Here's a 4.9 at the Philippines. Looks like an aftershock of that 6.4 that we saw 2 days ago. Next on the list is a 5.2 at Alaska. That one coming in at 1309 UTC. As we saw an uptick there. 5.1 at the Philippines. And an ultra deep quake at Fiji. This one west of where we've been seeing the previous quakes. Let's take a look at the location of that one, as it's over 600 kilometers depth. East of Fiji and northwest of Tonga is the location of that quake. And we've got a lot of quakes on the list here. Let's speed up the process a little bit. 4.3 at Algeria, 4.9 at Burma. Here's a 4.6 at Japan, that one at extreme depth also. 428 kilometers is the depth of that quake. 5.3 at Tonga, 4.8 at Indonesia, that one coming in at 22:02 Universal Time, about 2 hours before midnight UT. 5.0 4.0 at the Philippines, 4.4 at Indonesia, and I'm clicking every freaking thing twice, folks, and it's about sledgehammer time. Actually, I'm probably going to go buy a sledgehammer tomorrow. St. Louis Arch, leave a comment as you're producing one of our videos coming up. Leave a comment. Here's a 4.5 at Peru, that one at extreme depth. Heads up Western South America. It's my favorite place for the end of the 7 magnitude earthquake drought. That one at 172 kilometers depth. And lastly, coming in about 2 hours ago, we see a 5.3 at Niue. I don't know what that is. Let's take a look. And there's Niue, a tiny, tiny island there. Geez. East of Tonga. Anyway, that's where the quake occurred. And let's move on to more stuff. Like windy.com's pressure map. Now, this video was made at 6:33. Pardon the lateness today, folks. We will be making another video shortly, so stay tuned for that. And thanks to all of you folks who tuned in for the premiere as things are falling out of my pocket. All right. And in any case, I don't know why it stopped playing. Please start playing again. We're advancing the pressure map here so you can see where pressure systems will be, perhaps anomalous ones, which are associated with earthquakes, as we've known for quite a while. And there's where things will be in about 24 hours from the making of this video. And check out this image last night from Mount Stromboli as eruptions from the east and western vents were spraying liquidy molten rock into the air. So significant activity kicking up there at Italy. Also Mount Etna, sporadic ash emissions there. Mount Aso, unknown volcanic ash cloud there. Don't fly over it in your ultralight helicopter. Sakurajima exploded, produced a 6,000-foot ash plume. Tokono exploded, produced a 7,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl exploded, produced a 21,000-foot ash plume. Fuego. Some volcanic emissions there. Revenador exploding, 17,000-foot plume there. Sabancaya, not sure if it's going off. Copihu, intermittent volcanic ash emissions there in Chile, Argentina. And Nevados de Chilean, still exploding, producing a 14,000-foot ash plume. Please do not pole vault. And thanks to our commenter yesterday who was asking for volcano pole vaulting brands. I'm not familiar. Karangatang off the list. Not orangutan, Karangatang. It was on the list yesterday, not orangutan, Karangatang. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where stuff will be in 1 week as we approach another new moon. Here's where stuff is above my head, and I like to draw in the ecliptic. Man, it's getting light out. We are late with this video today, so we're going to keep it as short as possible. Moon near its apex, the Mars just rising. Let's just move on. Lightningmaps.org. There's the lightning situation. And we're going to talk about weather advisories. Now, we didn't get any frost here, I don't think. At 5:30 a.m. this morning, the temperature was 41 degrees Fahrenheit in the breezeway, an indication that it was probably far too warm to get frost. The advisory was set for about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I highly doubt that we got frost here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Check out the warnings. There's even tornado watches across Florida. Special maritime warnings, gale warnings, all up the entire East Coast. Frost advisories, hard freeze warnings, winter weather advisories, and red flag warnings all over the place. Weather.gov, check out your location. Let's see how Florida's going to get hit by that tropical system, and the answer is not very much. It's going to bring a little bit of rain. Looks like most of the rain's going to fall in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Atlantic Ocean. Anyway, there's the scenario through October 30th on Wednesday, and it's looking pretty chilled out. Were you aware that half of Russia is covered in snow right now? Yeah, it's true, folks. Half of Russia buried in snow. Here's the Rutgers daily snow lab map. And all the yellow regions are areas covered in snow. Now, this map showed us all summer that Greenland had 9 feet of snow from coast to coast. Now, this is only showing extent, obviously, but you've regularly showed windy.com's snow depth map. Check that out if you want to see the real-time snow depth any place in the world. In fact, let's go look. Global warming, global warming, global warming. It's global warming. Must be global warming. It's so hot that it's cold in Russia, too. And look at all the snow in the U.S. It's only October, folks. Now, this is the earliest snow Russia's gotten in 30 years. Early season snow doesn't fit the anthropogenic global warming narrative. It simply shouldn't be happening in a warming world, and that's why this story will not be covered by the mainstream. Half of Russia covered in snow. And here's the Weather Underground U.S. Doppler radar map. Florida getting some thunderstorms and so on. Let's zoom in on that area. And there's a close-up of Florida. Shout out Oviedo residents, Mothra and others. Mothra and Rob, shout out. Please leave a comment. And I don't see any tornadoes coming out of that yet, but this thing could intensify throughout the day. And let's look at the water vapor map. And we do see some dry air mixing in there, which is going to weaken the system overall. It looks to me like the low is just off the coast of the Florida Panhandle right now. And that's part of the reason why it's going to be a complete dud. Anyway, the water vapor map should give you some indication of future trends. This thing is going to move, well, you saw where it's going to move in the tropical tidbits. Total precip feed, and let's zoom back out. And there's the overall view. Here's the jet stream scenario, courtesy Null School. We continue to see extreme meridional jet stream flow here. The jet stream making a 180-degree turn there in the South Atlantic. Let's zoom out, show the Western world and the Eastern world, and get this video up. And there's the Western jet stream. Some anomalies looking like they're going on down there in southern hemisphere. Extreme convective forces at play down there. Check it out. Stuff going the wrong way, big time. And here are the eastern jets with India in the center of frame. We see doubled up jet streams in both hemispheres moving on. To let you know that we're making another video, so be ready for that. And thanks, Smash Team. Please leave a comment if you haven't done so yet, as it allegedly helps the analytics or some nonsense like that. And here's a bonus feature. It's the local yellow dwarf on 171 angstroms. We see a bit of activity here on the southeastern limb. A little bit of filamentary stuff going on there, visible in the 171 angstroms view. As well as this area up here, north of the equator there. Possibly some kind of a plage that kicked up. Not sure if that would be a cycle 24 or 25 if it is a plage, as we can't really view it from stereo B. Stereo B's been busted since 2014 due to a hardware anomaly. Anyway, we're out of here, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Please support the channel via the links below the video. Please share on your social media, as we are on a whole bunch of different social media sites. So look for that in the description also. Look for another video coming soon. And remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.